and welcome back to another episode of the Helpers Here podcast brought to you by the Beyond Compulsion Academy. Mary Paulis, welcome on the show. How are you doing?
I'm great today. Yeah, having a really good day. So, yeah,
Nice. Nice.
nice
Yeah,
to see you. Welcome
looking
back from
well.
your holiday.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome back on the podcast. It's been a while since we've done one. So
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. We got
Mm-hmm.
Tintin as well, special guest.
Tintin. Tintin friend.
Lovely
Yeah,
stuff, lovely stuff.
here.
For any listeners, that's Mary's cat in the background we've got in the
One of
video.
them.
Yeah, one of the two. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So today we're going to talk a little bit about rational emotive behavioral therapy. But before we get into that, we did just receive a pretty awesome message. This was like, what was it, like 3 or 4 hours ago, do you reckon? Something like
Yep,
that.
yep. I woke up
Yeah,
to it. Yeah.
yeah, super, super recent. Today's been a cool day actually, in terms of like the Beyond Compulsion Academy, because we had one of our clients start a YouTube channel as well. So I'll try to remember to leave a link to his YouTube channel in the description. So that's Gavin's YouTube channel. He's one of our clients and he's gone through the whole program. And now he actually has started his own YouTube channel called Beyond Compulsion with Gavin Casey because he
Yeah.
wants to share our method with more of the world because he just gets that it's totally different to all the other nonsense out there, basically. But this win is actually from a different client who could potentially be in the public eye a bit more in the future. And so he didn't want to come on the podcast, but well, he did want to come on the podcast, but he didn't
Yeah.
want to jeopardize his future career as he potentially becomes some superstar, which I'm sure he will. So what we'll
Yeah.
do is we'll read out his message instead. And one of the reasons we're doing this as well is to inspire. You know, I think you can be in this porn addiction for so many years, feeling like hopeless, but literally every guy we've worked with has pretty much the same thought patterns, which we'll get onto when we talk about rational emotive behavioral therapy. And when you actually have a tool to deal with those thought patterns and change them, permanent mental freedom truly, truly is possible. You don't have to stay stuck in this cycle, go into like Sex Addicts Anonymous. I spoke to a client today who'd gone to Sex Addicts Anonymous and he'd gone around in circles for years, obviously, because it doesn't change neural pathways correctly. But anyway, Mary, do you want to put up the message from this client
Yeah.
that we
Yeah, for
received a few
sure.
hours ago? Yeah.
So, yeah, what an amazing client this person has been. And so I wake up this morning to this. It says, "Hi guys, I wanted to message in here and tell you that I'm thinking about stopping my membership before it renews for the next month. Since I joined the Beyond Compulsion Academy, this method and overcoming my compulsion has become my number one priority financially, time spent on it, the repetition of my script, everything. And I want to underline that this choice has nothing to do with finances or anything like that, because as I say, this is and has been the very top of my priority list. I feel like you two, for me, have been the most amazing driving instructors slash mentors I could have asked for. The rewiring and changes that I can feel and know that have taken place in the last 2 months will continue to take place have blown my mind. I feel like the very best version of me. However, I also feel just like driving a car, hence the weird driving instructor analogy. I've got to try driving it on my own. I have taken the program twice over, meaning that he went through all the videos a second time. Yeah, which I think is great for everybody to do. And taken absolutely everything out of the school videos that I possibly can, and I feel amazing. I know there will be ups and downs, so and I am so ready for the junky thought of now you've left the program and you can watch porn. But the difference, the gift that you've given me is I'm not even scared of that thought. Like, let that thought come if it does or doesn't. It doesn't phase me. I'm ready. I know what I'm choosing to do and why. And I know I have my script and I have a choice in the moment that I can make for myself. This program has changed my life. I know that there may or may not be urges in the future. And as I say, I don't care. Let them come. Let the man behind the curtain reveal himself. I have my script, the most powerful tool in the world. The straight line and the benefits I have experienced and will continue to experience have been unbelievable. With all honesty, I can say signing up to your program has been the one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life, period. I can't thank you enough. So yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
get in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's like always my response to this clients like voice notes as well. Like you'll know over the last few months you sent us like quite a lot of voice notes on the WhatsApp and
Yeah.
every time like when I hear him I'm like yes then I
Yeah.
say his name because so often he's just like so aware of the addictive part of his mind and just
Yeah.
like countering back to it, like understanding the junkie thoughts, answering those junkie thoughts. And before he joined the program, he'd actually gone on a few streaks, but he'd always ended up relapsing. Like he tried like the no frap, he tried being motivated, doing all these different things. But I know this client had gone down such a similar path to me. And so I remember when he first joined, we were saying how oh, it's like another version of me like coming into the
Yeah.
program. Like he tried all these
Yeah.
things, and we were both like really optimistic. Like, oh yeah, he's going to really thrive here. And then what he did is he actually just got stuck in there. And I think that's so important to point out is that this client did watch, I think, the videos at least 2 times, probably more, and then use this
Yeah.
script a lot. So if you come and work with us, we'll give you everything you need, all the tools, and we've got an answer to every single possible question. But at the same time, it's going to be 100% down to you to actually change your own brain. And that's something that I love about this because, he messaged us and he was a bit tentative about like, oh, like, is it going to be okay if I sort of leave the program sort of thing? Because it's only been,
Yeah.
a few months, but it's like, hell yeah, like get out
Yeah.
of here, go live your life, man. Like
That's the
that's a
goal, right?
good
Not
thing.
go to
Yeah.
meetings from now until the day you die because you're
Yeah.
fighting cravings for the rest of your life, No, this is the goal. It's like change the brain and move on,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. You getting a call there? You okay?
Yeah, no, I just muted it. So yeah,
Sweet.
I normally mute my phone before we start, but I forgot. So we
No
had
worries.
to have a little Taylor Swift ringtone there. So
You got Taylor Swift in your ringtone, have you?
yeah, well, it's my friend. Well, actually, that's my mentor, Patricia, who taught me the program, 30 some years ago, right? And
You know what? Yeah.
she happens to have a Taylor Swift ringtone, so I know it's her.
Oh, right, right. We've never really spoke about Patricia or this is that's so timely because that's what I
Right?
wanted to talk about today is like
Oh,
rational. Yeah, go ahead.
well,
Go on.
it just reminded me. I
Yeah.
talked to her yesterday on my drive. We talk almost every day still,
Mm,
all
yeah.
these years later. But I talked to her on my drive yesterday, and I told her that you just came across a new guide to rational living, right? Albert Ellis. And
Mm.
she reminded me, she talked to him on the phone, and he endorsed her book.
Wow.
Hooked but Not Helpless, Ending Your Love-Hate Relationship with Nicotine is endorsed by Albert Ellis, which is
No
so
way.
cool,
That's
right? So there's
crazy.
more connection than we even thought. And then here
Wow.
she calls right in the middle of our podcast. I should have
That's
I should have answered and let her talk on the podcast for a second.
yeah,
Hey,
that's so mad. This is like
yeah,
more of the weird spiritual woo-woo shit that me and you have been
right?
on about lately, isn't
Hippie
it?
cosmic shit's happening,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've said this a lot lately. Like, a lot of cosmic
right?
stuff going on.
I will take
Uh,
it. We'll take it
that's
where we can get it, right?
that
Yeah.
is
So at
crazy
some
though.
point, I'll pull her book out and read you his endorsement.
No way. That's so cool.
Any
Yeah,
other
Albert
home
Ellis.
council. Yeah.
Albert Ellis. Hey, let's give a shout out to Albert. So
Yeah.
yeah,
He's dead.
if you I know he's yeah, he did die. I think he died when he was like 97 though. I think it's quite
90 some, yeah. And he was like
yeah.
still traveling and doing, seminars and workshops for people in his 90s. So that's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love that. I love that. I've not finished
Very
this book
cool.
yet. So if anyone's listening and is like, what the hell are these two on about? So we're on
Yeah.
about a book called A Guide to Rational Living by
It's called
Albert
a new
Ellis.
guide. A
Is
new
it
guide.
a new
Yeah.
guide? My bad, my
Yeah.
bad.
I don't
Yeah,
know why, but
yeah.
that's the title. Yeah.
Really, really good book. Mary, do you want to kind of share a bit more about Patricia, so who was just calling you just now, and Albert Ellis as well, and rational emotive behavioral therapy, and then how you've kind of evolved some of the principles from that methodology to create the Beyond Compulsion method?
Well, actually, it was Patricia's mentor, Joe, who adapted the RET, the rational emotive therapy philosophy, to specifically dealing with nicotine addiction. But then addiction is addiction is addiction. It's all those same neural pathways, right? So then what I did, Patricia went on and taught, after she learned from Joe, and then she wrote her book. And she told me, she said she actually, when she talked to Albert on the phone, he said, well, does your book have RET in it? She says, it's all RET. And he was like, okay. And so he took a read and then endorsed it. But yeah, but then realizing that, addiction is addiction. And this brilliant, script that was designed by this guy, Joe, back when, so many years ago, was adaptable to literally any addiction there was. And that's when I, moved on from just nicotine addiction and started working with everything else. So yeah, because it's just so valuable. And again, this has been adapted very specifically for dealing with addiction, where if you read A New Guide to Rational Living, it's broader, right? It's a broader philosophy. But yeah,
Mm.
this is very specific, using a really amazing philosophy, but again, adapting it specifically to deal with change neural pathways of addictive desire. So yeah,
Yeah,
super cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I would say this book so far has probably been better than any book I've ever read for addiction recovery because instead of going like deep, like maybe a Gabor Mate sort of book where you start talking about inner healing or internal
Right.
family systems and you go well off into the past, we're actually proactively changing how we think in the present moment, which is the thing that when you really think about it, it's like, well,
Yeah.
obviously, if you have a problem right now, then we need to change the problem right now. It's like if you've got a thought pattern that keeps coming up that leads you to porn, for example, oh, I just had a slip up, it's like, well, actually, you didn't have a slip up. You actively chose to
You made a
engage in a
choice.
compulsive
Yeah,
behavior.
conscious choice, even though you tried to tell yourself it just happened. I didn't even think about it. That's just more junky bullshit. And the thing is too, is like going into the past. I mean, okay, I know that Gabor Mate, whatever his name is, he's going in the past a lot. I mean, and that's maybe some, there's some value there for insights, but that's not really gonna change that present moment of now I'm having the desire and I'm gonna act on it because that's the way I'm wired. To rewire, we got to do that, like you said, in the moment. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And almost every single junkie thought will be either about the past or about the future on some level. Like so often
Yeah.
it's away from the present moment because
Yeah.
it's in the present moment that you have all your power. Like you're never gonna have
Yeah.
choices in the past because the past is done, it's gone. Like it's
Yeah.
completely irrelevant at this point.
Yeah. Can I elaborate on that? Like,
So,
there's a very specific thought. I've always failed before. I know I'll just fail again. And that's what will keep a lot of guys from you joining the program because they have so much experience with using the wrong kind of method. Yeah, they're failing because the method's failing them, right? So I've always failed before. I know I'm going to fail again. So there you've just obliterated the present moment, right? The only moment that you can actually make change. But now if you think about it like that kind of thinking, like would you think, well, I'm going to go downtown and there's the busy streets and what if I step out in front of the bus, and then I'm splat on the pavement, right? No, you wouldn't think that because in the moment you're going to look, right? And that you're going to make a choice whether you're going to step out in front of a bus, right? And see, that's where we get, very, very specific with dealing with that thinking where it's like in that present moment, you know what you're going to do. You're going to have a choice, and that's how we train the brain to focus on that present moment where you actually have power to choose, right?
mm,
You can have intention, which is another buzzy word. Oh, intention and genuine self and all this stuff is like that. Okay, you can intend to, make a choice in the future, but until you actually get there, until you're in that moment to make that choice, it's not really useful to even
yeah.
think about, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'll give a good example of that and also tie it back into Albert Ellis's work with the rational motive behavioral therapy. So,
Yeah.
I've heard quite a lot of people say over time, friends, partners, family say, I need to lose weight. And there's two things here which I can bring up, which kind of just build on what you were just saying there. So the first one is the I need, which, it's not actually a need because if it was a necessity and you didn't lose weight and you were to die, well, okay. It's a quite extreme thought, really.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
for most people anyway, they don't need to lose weight. They want to lose weight. So you
Yeah.
shift the language from need to want, and it's going to
Yeah.
change how you feel right away because it's not this life depending on it kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Second thing, though, as you were saying, it's like if you're feeling like, oh, or you're thinking like, I need to lose weight, well, in that moment, it's really about, well, what choice do you have in that moment? Like, are you either overeating or you're eating a reasonable amount in that moment?
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking
Yeah.
into the future on, I need to lose weight, now you're in the
Yeah.
future, or you're in the past about,
Yeah.
oh, what have I eaten? But that's not where any change actually takes place. Like the change takes place in
Totally.
the present moment. And it's
Yeah.
the same with the porn addiction, you know? I need
Yeah.
to quit porn. It's such a like unuseful thought. It's just not helpful. Like, oh, I'll start tomorrow, or oh, I'm
Yeah.
finally gonna quit. Last time I'm ever gonna do it. None of those thoughts are actually about your choice in the present moment
No.
when you have the craving.
Um, it makes me think of this Aurelius quote that we use sometimes is never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present, that present moment, right? And that's where people have the very like our client mentioned, this very powerful script, knowing I don't have to worry. I don't care what's going to come up because I know I have what I need to deal with it when it actually happens, right?
Mm.
So not having to worry into the future. So yeah,
Yeah,
good
yeah,
stuff.
exactly. I was
Good.
on a call with a client today, and I totally get this because of the things he tried in the past, and because our method is just so totally different. But I was saying to him, I was illustrating the point of deprivation and overcoming deprivation, which is, these feelings where you feel like you can't do something. And I was saying, I literally could get off this call with you right now and access porn right away. Like I can do that. That is a choice for me. That is an option.
Yeah,
And his response was along the lines of, oh, I'm not sure you should really be saying that to someone in addiction recovery because he'd obviously gone
yeah,
down the routes of Sex Addicts
yeah,
Anonymous and all those kind of things where they talk
yeah,
about removing the triggers and, all this sort of nonsense.
yeah.
And I'm sure it's very helpful for some people, but like if you want to actually feel like in control of yourself and free and like you trust yourself, well, it's really, really key to be able to deal with literally any trigger because otherwise you're never actually going to feel truly free, which is this weird paradox because pretty much all the advice you've been given so far is actually creating more helplessness rather than helping you be the one in charge of your own life. So,
Yeah, and
I went
you
down that
said
route.
that it
Yeah.
would be, it could, I want to just pull up this thing. Okay, so underestimating deprivation thinking, right? So, and it's like, oh, well, people out there, oh, you can't do it. You can't, you have to stop. You get out, get out there and do something not to think about it because you can't do this, all that. Well, here's a list from our curriculum of when you when you think that way. If you don't correct that thinking, which we do in the program, you end up feeling frustrated. These are feelings I've gathered directly from people over all the years when they think that way, right? Frustrated, ashamed, guilty, like a failure, deprived, doubtful, hopeless, fearful, sad, a sense of loss, left out, angry, rebellious, ripped off, sorry for myself, irritable, hostile, envious, obsessed, defiant, resentful, cheated, anxious, and panicked.
Hmm.
Okay, that looks like a lot of fun, right? So the thing is, oh, and here's our like little deprivation there. That's how you're gonna feel, right? That doesn't look fun. So the thing is like that all comes out of incorrect thinking, right? And we can correct that thinking, and so you can bypass all these feelings and get on to the education that you're going to need to actually get through the withdrawal process of changing your neural pathways. But you
Yeah.
get stuck in this hamster wheel, oh my God, I have to stop because, oh my God, it's ruining my life. And, all of it. There's so much deprivation thinking that is causing people to just stay stuck. So, yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a bit like if you wanted to learn how to drive a car and you had driving lessons, but you were never allowed to actually have your hand on the wheel. You're just like some
Yeah,
backseat driver
yeah,
just watching
yeah,
some driver all the time.
yeah,
It's like it's not
yeah,
really the
yeah,
goal.
yeah,
It's like the goal for us is equip people with the right methodology, the right education, all the right ways to transform their own thinking, which essentially reprograms their own brain. And then
yeah.
you can take the wheel, go off and drive off into the sunset and live your life if you choose to. You don't have to. You can also go and get in a car crash or keep rolling backwards. It's going to be your
Yeah.
choice, and that's the beauty of this whole work that we do. Is it's all about choice. It's about people's choice. We're never going to take that away from you, and that's why up until a certain point within the program, we literally make it very clear you are not prepared to stop this behavior. You are going to be relapsing. It's going to be normal to relapse up until a certain point in the program because you're not prepared. It's like I
Yeah. You're going
expect
to be
most
doing what
people.
you've always done. You're going to
Yeah,
be engaging because you don't have any other way to deal with it, right? So you just do that until we get you completely prepared. And then
yeah.
you're in this optimal position, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is with that is that's like the default pathway that the neural pathways are going to go down. Like that's the default
Yeah.
route, and there's nothing wrong with you for thinking in that way. Like that's
Yeah.
how I thought for 9, 10 years, and I thought that was just normal because everyone else was like doing no faps, and I was kind of questioning myself a bit, like, oh, like what's wrong with me? Because everyone else is thinking in the same way, which is about the language of like streaks and slip ups and motivation and meditation and self
Yeah.
improvement, all this stuff
Yeah.
that's completely
Fitness.
irrelevant to the actual problem, which is the underlying thought patterns and the moment of compulsive desire. Like, what do you do when you actually have an urge? Like, it's been a long day, you're feeling stressed out, you come home, you're on your own. What do you do in that moment when all you want to do is watch porn? It's like that's the
Yeah.
only thing to really focus on, and that's why
Yeah.
we're so passionate about all of this because we just see
Yeah.
the world going insane like around us, like doing all this stuff that just isn't really helping and is getting in the way. And then people are blaming themselves. They're going, "Oh, there's something wrong with me. Like, why can't I quit it? You know, it's been 10 years."
Yeah.
But it's like, of course you're not able to because you don't know how to deal with compulsive desire. And that's not your fault. It's just you've not had like the thorough education on it. And then,
Yeah.
what we do is like being driving instructors, we're there
Yeah.
like actually training people, like full on training to give someone
Yeah.
the education they need so they can start to think about things totally differently to ever before.
Yeah, because it's like you say, you come home and you have these urges, right? Okay, you're gonna have to come home from meditating or from the gym or from the changing the lifestyle. You're gonna have to come home eventually. There you are, you're alone. And now, not only are you gonna have the urges, you're gonna have junky thinking. Like if you don't know how to deal with that junky thinking, like what the hell? What prayer are you going to have? You're just going to will it out? No, it's not going to work, you know. But you're driving. Got a lot of driving analogies today, Tom.
So
But speaking of the driving analogies, there's like really cool specific things that people learn. And I sure as hell wish some of these drivers in Portland would have learned them because man, there's just some shit drivers on their phones. And I'm like, every time I go out on the road, I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna make it to work alive? So but like there's like drive defensively, keep your eyes moving, leave yourself an out, and I've added one, expect people to be dumbasses, and it's just like there's very specific things you need to learn to be safe, a safe driver to yourself and to other people, it's like, and
mm,
that's yeah, but it's like staying out of the deprivation thinking so you can actually learn the incredibly valuable things that we need to teach you to be able to get permanently mentally free from the addiction. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah, big time. And it's powerful stuff. Like I just love it. Like, I just love to see
Me
how
too.
if you give someone like a certain set of ingredients, they can go away and like build this new way of thinking so that
Mhm.
they just transform. I was on a call with another guy. We've not even mentioned him yet today, but he's going to come in on the podcast, I think, next month in Manchester. So he'll come over to the studio. And yeah, like honestly, he's only worked with us for about 7 or 8 weeks, and it just is like talking to a different person. Like it honestly
Yeah,
is. Those videos are going to go in school as
fun.
well. So like anyone who joins our program can literally watch the first video with the client I'm talking about now up until
Yeah,
his like eighth session, like the coaching sessions.
yeah,
And I say in this video today, I was like, for anyone watching this, like we're on like our seventh, eighth call, whatever now, go back and watch like this client's first video because like you will see this difference and it is cool. It is just weird. Like the energy, like just the way people speak, it's just mental. Like let's not
yeah,
understate overcoming addiction, especially porn addiction, because
yeah,
how you're going to feel, the way you're going to act when you know how to be in control of yourself every single second of every day, it changes. And then you can start
yeah,
putting your energy into all these different areas of life that you're actually genuinely passionate about rather than doing this behavior, you obviously want to stop.
Yeah, and I texted you or just the other day when I had the call, I had a follow-up call with one of the clients who I hadn't spoken with him since his Liberation Day call. And that's exactly what I said to you in the message was it was like talking to a completely different person. I mean, he wants a podcast too, which will be really cool. So yeah, get him on. But I was like, oh my God, who are you? You know, from the Liberation Day call, I remember him, it was in his car and the AC wasn't working. It was whatever, but I just had this great call with him, and he just literally was like talking to a different person. I love it so much. Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
You know? Oh, okay.
you're back. Yep, you're
Oh,
back. You cut out for
good
a
hint.
sec, but you're back.
No, all right. Well, we'll probably wrap it up there anyway. We've spoke
Yeah,
about quite a lot. Um, yeah, feeling
you're gone again.
okay.
Oh,
Okay,
you're
am I
back.
back? Sorry for my sound went.
That must be a sign we should stop. We should
Yeah,
cut this one
let's
off now since we're cutting out.
we'll wrap it up here then. Yeah, we'll wrap it up
Mhm.
here. If you take one thing away from this video, go and buy what's it called again, Mary? The book,
A new guide to rational living.
A New Guide to Rational Living by Albert Ellis. Really, really good book.
PhD, but I believe he's a PhD. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. And by
Yeah.
the way, you said it's the best book that you've ever read. Have you read my book? Hello.
Mary, would I really say it was the best book I'd ever read if I'd actually read yours as well?
Right, yeah.
No,
I'm
I
just
haven't.
kidding.
I know, I
My
haven't.
book's very my book is very specific to beyond food compulsion. Although I have given my book to many people and said, "Hey, just, insert your addiction, to where it talks about food compulsion.
Mm,
Insert addiction here, and it's still the overall philosophy will apply to any behavior in your life that it causes you a lot of harm and you want to stop doing it and you can't stop doing it. So yeah, yeah, for sure.
I think you've made a mistake mentioning that book on the podcast, Mary, because don't you like
My
manually
book.
send them out? What if loads of people want to go buy your book now?
Well, they can call me. I
Fine.
got a bunch of them in the closet. Yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
not going to send any to England.
Why
No
not?
way. Not after
Oh,
mailing your pain pillows. What a fiasco that was.
oh my God. Yeah, I got a lot of
That's
those papers.
pain pillows. People always think I'm saying pain pills. Yeah, like I'm sending Tom pain pills. Yeah, that's right.
Uh,
No, pain pillows, big pillows I make. I sent them to Tom for a gift, and it ended up costing way too much money.
I ended up spending £50 for that gift somehow.
I know, right?
It was
It
crazy. It was
was just a
crazy.
joke all around. It was like there was probably $200 worth of pillows, and we probably spent $200 in
Yeah.
postage
I know.
and
I'm not even using them
postal
that
fee.
much, I'm afraid, Mary, but
Yeah.
I will do. They're in my
Yeah.
freezer right now, just across there. But anyway, yeah, we'll wrap it
Gift
up
them.
there.
Gift them to your mom. Gift
No,
them
I
to
want them. I
your
want to keep them.
Okay.
I wanna like, my goal is I think you know what I might do? You know the little ones? I might give
Yeah.
those as gifts to like one or two clients. So like, I'm going in the podcast studio tomorrow as well with Gavin,
Yeah.
and I think I might give him like one little one, just like as a memory of like the Beyond Compulsion method,
Sure.
like coming all the
Yeah.
way from you in Portland, just come to me,
Yes.
and then I'll pass it on to him, and then
Those are
yeah.
lavender sachets, the lavender grown in my yard. So
Mhm.
yeah, those are nice therapeutic for smelling, but they're not as far as like, icing and heating your
Yeah,
body. So yeah,
nice.
but they're still lovely. I love those sachets in a day. So yeah, give them away. Yeah.
Love it. All right. Cool. We'll wrap up there. Thanks again for watching. Hope you've enjoyed today's podcast, and we'll
Good.
see you in the next one. Bye bye.